I'm Kathleen Walker. This is Andy Shirting with New England Endurance Events, and this is the athlete meeting for SwimRun Cape Cod. Thanks for being here. All right, so we're going to get started today. Usually for most of our races, we say, okay, things that are new about this race, and then work our way through to general questions about, usually it's triathlon. In this case, the race is new, so it's all new stuff. For most of you, you have, I hope, have read the athlete's guide. We actually have a few changes over the last day or so, like water temp, and we'll tell you about a pond. So we will have some new things, even if you've already read the athlete's guide, there's still more new stuff. And then we're going to end tonight with general questions about SwimRun. So I know that some of you have asked some questions. You're new to this sport, and so there's some things that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I really need your help. So if you can save those questions, you can throw anything in chat, and we will answer chats as we kind of go on to each little section of what we do. If it's a question that is just general swim run newbie kind of question, we'll most likely save it to the end. So just hold tight for that one.
I hope everybody has read the athlete's guide or knows of the athlete's guide.
Well, if you got here, they probably do, right? Because you guys got the athletes, the
social
link.
media, some of the other.
Yeah, no, but the link had to be on the athlete's guide.
Well, maybe I'll put it into the chat just so that we have that destination. And
sounds fair.
Keep in mind that the athlete's guide has been updated quite a bit over the last few weeks. And so anything in blue is relatively new information. So if you read the athlete's guide earlier in the summer and you think, okay, I got it, go back and take a look at least at the blue items.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I had just added some more information just a little while ago. So within the last hour or so. So literally it's being updated almost as we speak. So we will go over some of that information tonight. But of course, we invite you to take a look at the athlete's guide leading up to the race. Let me let in a few more people. Again, for those that are joining us now, if you're not muted, please mute. We appreciate that. And then throw any questions in chat. Andy just put the athlete's guide there. So you can go there for other questions that you might have, but let's see what we can answer tonight. So we're going to start off with what I think of as the biggest news. We are short one pond for Saturday. So Higgins Pond, it's one of the earlier ponds that we're doing this is for the medium course. The pond
number 3, swim number 3.
There we go. The water levels are really low, and so the entrance to that pond is very muddy and mucky, and that's not great for you guys. You'll lose shoes before you can even get going. And it's not great for the pond. And so that's something that, we want to be careful of our environment, not only because we live here, but also because the National Seashore would never let us come back. So it's multifaceted. So we'll show you that in a little bit. Andy, do you want to to show them?
Maybe we'll touch on that and we'll show that to everyone, but do not worry. You'll do your first run, you'll first swim, second run, second swim. Third run will just be a little bit longer. Instead of stopping at Higgins to swim across Higgins, you'll be going around Higgins. The same markers will be there as the rest of the course. We'll just mark it as such late Friday. And you'll be able to enter it to go for that half mile plus swim across Gull Pond.
Right. So if you all are fretting like, oh, wait a minute, more run, I think it's like 0.2 miles more running. So I mean, it's nothing. It's literally like right there.
I think it pushes the race to the medium race to a full 10 miles of running, which this cross-country style running is probably more closer. It's going to feel like you ran 15 miles, I think. But we'll see.
It's it is what it is. All right. So information that I'm going to give you right now, packet pickup. So if you are doing the medium course, packet pickup starts 6:15, goes till 7:30. You'll come and you're actually, packet pickup's kind of a misnomer. You're getting your swim cap, you're getting body marked. We do not use, I know some of the swim runs use jerseys. So they have this like really ugly, big, like loose jerseys that you wear with a giant number on it. This year, because we personally don't like those, this year we are going with body marking. We're going to body mark any part of your body that we can see, and we're going to mark your swim cap. And that way we can keep track of you guys as you're going through the course. We're going to also mark your swim cap, as well as other parts of your body. So, so hopefully we'll still be able to identify you, at any turn. You just don't have to wear those big, ugly, jerseys. So, packet pickup for the, medium course, 6:15 to 7:30. If you're doing the short course, please don't show up between that time, because we're trying to get all of the medium course people through, and there's more medium course than there are short course. So if you are short course, stop at Dunkin' Donuts along the way, do something else, and then show up at the school from 7:45 to 8:45. You don't need a ton of time on like a triathlon. You don't have a bike, you don't have a real transition area. So there's not a whole lot for you to do before the race. Do keep in mind, oh, what's Andy showing that? Andy, would you please take that off?
Because this is why Kathleen doesn't like those bibs.
Yeah, see that bib?
Just
It's
wanna
not
put
very
it
pretty.
there. She also doesn't like huge backpack pole buoys, but we'll talk about that
Okay,
later.
so Andy, so take that off of,
All right, I'll stop
of
the
share,
share.
please.
If I can figure out how to stop the
Right
share.
up there,
There you
right there.
go.
Okay, so that's what happens when you do a Zoom with your husband. So the medium course, we have the Funk buses. I don't know if you've ever ridden a Funk bus, but they're cool and they're fun, and they're usually playing loud music just to be fun. Funk buses will take you, this is medium course, will take you from the elementary school, that's Wellfleet Elementary School on Lawrence Road. We'll take you over to Ballston Beach. Now, if you've come with a loved one that wants to see you start, there are around 20-30 parking spaces over at Ballston Beach. So if your loved one wants to just drive you over there and hang out there so they can watch you start, that's fine. And then they can come back, or they might be going to other parts of the course to watch you anyway. So that's no problem. But if you want to take the bus, it will be available. For the medium course, since you are coming a little bit later, if there's not a lot of parking left at the school, you'll go around a little bit farther into town, into the Methodist church, and then we can get the Funk bus to be able to pick you guys up and bring you back to the school. So either way, you'll be all set, either at Ballston Beach or at the elementary school for parking. If we have any volunteers on, I think there's a few volunteers that wanted to join tonight to find out what the whole race is about. Thank you first. And volunteers are going to the Long Pond parking lot. So we'll meet separate from the athletes trying to check in. All right, you wanted to skip over to some other stuff and then I'll go back and forth? What do you
Yeah,
think?
well,
Okay.
everybody wants to know water temperature, and we've got 3 readings in 3 ponds today. We'll do the other 3 tomorrow morning. And we got it was kind of funny as we worked from the north, we went from 75 to 74.5 to 74. So 74, 75. I went and checked last year, and we were hovering around 69, 70. So we've had a warm September, and that shows with the ponds. So we'll post the rest of them, but I think you have an idea of what to expect there. Wetsuits are allowed, but if you've got a heavy wetsuit and a light wetsuit, I think you definitely want to go with the light wetsuit. As far as weather goes, we've had this incredible couple of weeks, and it might come to an end tomorrow night or Thursday night, I guess it will be, Friday will be showery, and Saturday is now expected to be showery. But they're talking 30%, 40%, 50% chance. So at least it's not, hold on, at least it's not definite. And who knows, things could change. Temperature is going to be a little bit under 70, and the wind is going to be strong. It's going to be 15 to 25 knots is what we're currently looking at. Generally speaking, that does not impact, I would say, 5 of the 6 ponds that you will be crossing because they are so sheltered by high bluffs all around them. It's the kind of the nature of the topography. There is one pond, Great Pond, Gold Pond, where the wind, if it's coming out of one of the eastern angles, it can build up a bit of a chop. I mean, we'll watch that, but I think most of you swim runners certainly are used to kind of tough conditions at times, and triathletes too. We've all sometimes been in a wash basin of a swim. So
And it won't be terrible. It's not like a ocean swim with, you
Yeah.
know, with giant swells. It is a pond, or what we call a pond, which would be a lake for most people.
yeah, and that pond where it's possible it could get a bit choppy, we will probably route the course a little bit closer to shore, so that I don't know, there's just some makes everybody feel more comfortable. So you want to talk about schedule?
Yes, I would love to talk about schedule.
All right.
So, so I told you about for medium course athletes at 6:15 to 7:30 for you to come and check in, and the funk buses will start at 6:30 and they'll only go till 7:30. So you'll want to make sure that you're checking in before 7:30, so that way you get a ride to Boston Beach. The race starts for the medium course at 8 a.m. 7:45 to 8:45 is the short distance athletes. That is your check-in time. And that course will start at 9 a.m. and it's like right there, so you won't have to go anywhere at all. Please bring your photo ID and your USAT card if you've been getting emails that say what does it say? It says your registration isn't finished until you do this, and it's getting your USAT number so you can do a 1-day. If you're not sure, you can check your athlete account. If you are still not sure, even after checking your athlete account, I'm going to put in chat Maureen's email, and she loves to hear from you guys, particularly on race week. There you go. So, oops, hold on a minute. I just sent that to the waiting room people. We don't want that. There you go. So now you've got Maureen's email, and she actually does love talking to you guys. So make sure you get your USAT number. Oh yeah, and the day before, so we're talking about race day, but the day before on Friday, at 3 p.m., Team Envol is doing a swim run clinic. So, so for anyone that kind of needs a refresher or you're brand new to swim run, Team Envol is amazing. They're a great team, super knowledgeable about swim run, and it's gonna be in the Long Pond parking lot. You can go to the athlete's guide and it will give you, click on where it says Long Pond, and there's a link there. You can also look at all of the maps, and one of them is Long Pond. It's just right down the road from the elementary school.
And also Chris Douglas from the Low Tide Boys will be part of that discussion group at the clinic as well. And Chris is
talk about knowledge.
Yeah.
He said. Yeah. So let's see, was there anything over here? Parking?
No, we've already done
talked that. Oh, yay. Okay, water tanks. All right. You want to take on the next
or
one?
run through things here.
Yep. Do you want to do the
Yes, we can. All right. So here's what you'll be looking for on the course. Well, first off, we're starting with a beach run. I'm hoping to pipe in the Chariots of Fire music. I'm not sure we'll get the loudspeaker system set up, especially in the rain. But you'll start off with a beach run leaving from Boston Beach. It's really epic, running along the Atlantic coast there with the crashing surf. After about 3/4 of a mile, you will see Jen, one of our staffers who has been marking or will be marking the course. And she will be at one of 2 entrances from the beach into the highlands. And I say there's two. They're very close to each other. She'll probably stand by the one that has a short ladder. There's another one right before that, which just requires a big jump, but then you have to run a little bit of a scrubby path to get over to where the ladder, above the ladder, and then head up the cliff climb. As soon as you get past Jen, though, you'll be keeping an eye out for these as you run along the trail or the trails and the roads. We'll have them for the entirety of the course. Both courses, I know at one point earlier in the athlete's guide, we talked about a separate yellow flag for the short course athletes. We were able to square that away, so it's all pink is what you'll be looking for. Restrooms. Do you recall where the restrooms are?
Yep,
Okay.
I know exactly where they're. So, so of course, there's restrooms at the start and the finish. Boston Beach start as well. They both have handicap porta potties as well as regular porta potties. Then we have a real bathroom building at Gull Pond, so you can find that on your map. That's
Gull
kind of
Pond
like
exit.
halfway through at the exit. The town's keeping those open for us. And then we have porta potties at the first swim, so that's Snow. And then we also have porta potties at Long Pond and Great Pond, and that would be the entrance to Long Pond and the exit to Great Pond. And then there's a lot of woods.
And the finish line.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
and the
we'll
finish line.
get that thing. At the aid stations,
Mhm.
Gatorade, Goo, Honey Stinger gels, Cliff bars, Cliff peanut butter.
Right, I don't know. I figured those were the ones you liked because they were on your list. We also have
Yeah.
Boom, so if you don't like all of that chemical stuff, Boom is all natural. It's mostly fruit. So
that's
those
right.
will be at each of those
Yeah.
too.
Now, at the aid stations, this is not like a triathlon, or I should say like a running race where you get your nutrition and you run for a little while you suck on it and then you give it a toss. We're running a fully sustainable event. You've got to either use the garbage barrels that are there at the aid stations, or you carry it with you, and you take out everything that you bring in. That also includes equipment. We can't allow anyone to take their. Yeah, of course, a fly shows up.
Sorry, he had a fly on
What
him.
is
I was
this,
trying to get off.
a debate or something? We can't, you can't leave equipment on the course. You can't give it to a friend that you come by. And by the way, no friends or coaches running with you or swimming with you. That's not allowed by our insurance.
Can I step in for
Yeah.
equipment? The only exception is when, for those of you in the medium course, we get to Boston Beach in the morning, it's probably still going to be chilly and you're going to want to have a jacket or something like that. We will have a bin or a box there for you. Throw that, if you don't have a loved one there, throw it in the bin, and then we're going to bring those over to the finish line and kind of lay them out on the table so you can just collect your the things that you didn't want to start the race with but wanted to bring to Boston Beach. That stuff will be at the finish line. Just please get it. We have a collection of wetsuits and goggles and all sorts of stuff. So so we will have that for you.
Teams, we have I believe it's 36 teams competing in this event. Tethers are allowed, but they are not mandatory. The only thing is if you are not tethered to a teammate, when you're on the swim, you have to stay, I think it's 15 yards or so with each other. That might mean someone slowing down, someone else catching up. But we want to kind of keep you guys together if possible.
Yeah, it is in the athlete's guide. So,
and we'll get into the safety equipment, or should we now?
Up to you.
Touch
It's on your list.
Yep, since we're talking about tethers, safety. We have some guidelines we needed to follow. Please understand. I just showed you that wonderful picture of Kathleen with her safety buoy. And it's only fair for me to show you, well, I'll find it, the picture. The other picture, you've got a safety buoy there.
Yeah.
right?
So everyone gets where are we? There we are. A knee swim buoy. We hope that you use it when you're training as well. The teams can also, of course, you can use this. The teams will also have the opportunity to borrow there we go.
These are rest tubes, rest tube actives. They basically have a belt and they've got a little handle here. We're pre-installing the CO2 cartridges in them. We are loaning them to teams only. We only have enough for teams. Solo athletes will have to use a safety buoy.
This one, or one that you
Or
have.
if you can purchase a rest tube, and I think we've been able to give a 40 or 50% discount. I realize time is getting tight on that, but
Is that in the athlete's guide, by the way, like that discount code?
I think it's an email that we
Okay.
sent out the other day. And also other devices are fine. This happens to be mine that I've had for years. It's called a Swim Safe, and it's just another huge belt. You can see the difference here in size. But Maureen did some hunting. She found that West Marine stores are currently selling a different brand than this.
Right, but the idea is that although these were very contained, once you pull the cord, it blows up. So that way, if you have an issue in the water and you need immediate flotation, you have it. If you were to do that, let's say you have your swim buoy and it's not blown up. So this question has come up. So that's why I'm going into this one. If you have a swim buoy and it's not blown up, so that way you can run, you feel like, oh, that's more comfortable, and you have an issue, you're not going to sit there and blow this up while you're in the water. So if you're using a swim buoy, it needs to be blown up the entire time. And we've had a few questions with that. I think I'll do that. So I'm going to do a little show and tell. So, so this whole time I've been wearing my keel.
Here, actually, yeah.
Are you gonna show? Okay. So if you've got, some people are saying, well, it's hard to do everything at once. There we go. How do you carry that swim buoy and your keel, right? So I've got my keel here and it's going in the back. Hold on a minute. We're going to strip down. And it's going in the back of me, right? So I'm taking my keel and I've got it strapped up and now I can run. If I'm wearing a buoy, that is also going on, right? So let's get the buoy on. There. Now, no one wants to run with this tail hanging down here, but if you just take it here and clip it to itself, to your waist thing, now you've just got those. This is totally not in the way. And you don't feel it when you're running. So you can do that. And then if you have extra nutrition, or wait, I gotta take some of this off, or something else, like these have compartments. So, so you can keep stuff in there if you want to, although that does affect your running a little bit more. But that is a way of being able to carry your swim buoy, even though it's inflated. Try it between now and the race.
Yeah.
But it's completely not in the way that way. Andy likes to blow his up as he's going towards the water. So he just carries that deflated.
Yes, I just run with it deflated. That was in a race this spring. For those, so basically teams can use these safety buoys, but not if you're tethered. We do not want a situation where the tether is caught up in the safety buoy. So there, for those, we suggest that you borrow a rest tube from us and return it at the finish line. And I can show you a quick little video here. Here we go. So there she goes, just pulls the trigger and you've got it. And she's got that. So we can answer more questions afterwards about that and talk a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So I think that we covered that. Penalties.
Yep. We put them in the athlete's guide at the end. The one that we've sort of noticed in some of the races we've had that are similar to this is, I realize those of you with a cross-country background are probably used to the strategy of getting into the single track before your competition and just kind of holding them off at bay there. Not in
Please don't
swim
do
run.
that.
Someone wants to pass you, is breathing down your neck, you let them pass you. So that's the only one. You know, the others are kind of self-explanatory. Well, not swimming near a buoy, that's a time penalty, but
Not swimming near a buoy? Oh,
Uh,
if you don't swim near a
if you
buoy,
don't
then
swim
that's
near a
a
buoy,
penalty.
time penalty, and the only DQ one is foul language, yelling at people unkindly, which you think would never happen, but we had one at
We had
Hyannis,
one.
right?
Yeah, we
so,
had one.
yeah.
So,
That's weak.
so something for those of you that haven't participated in a swim run before, I know that we have a number of people that, you know, thanks to the short course, you can kind of put your toe in it a little bit. And you know, I think that's super exciting that we have a lot of new swim runners. Something a little different between swim run and, let's say, if you're coming from triathlon, swim runners are super nice. I don't think that we've really met anyone that does swim run that is just not courteous and kind and helpful. And so if you're, I'm sure you're all that way, but if for some reason you're normally not, then this is the time to practice that. So, you know, just swim run community is the most wonderful community I think I've ever met.
We all have our
Um,
moments, so.
Yeah, that's true. But usually that's not what I've seen from others. I'm sure when we're alone, and you get frustrated, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And also cleaning up, you know, like as Andy was saying, like don't throw wrappers down and things like that, where, you know, we're all in this environment together and we want to keep it as clean as possible. And that also helps us to continue doing this race, because if the National Seashore finds a bunch of wrappers around, then they're like, hey, you guys aren't taking care of our environment. Maybe we don't want to have you have this race.
Okay.
So,
So why don't we talk about the swim a little bit? I should have prepared a photo showing what our big orange swim buoys look like, but I'm sure many of you have seen them. It seems like most triathlons use them. They're big and orange, and they're a giant pumpkin out there. We will have one always at the end of the swim, right by the shore. For some of the larger water crossings, we'll also have orange buoys on the way to the destination. And once again, swim for each of those buoys. Don't think, oh, I don't need to go for that one. I can go straight across. That will be a penalty. And this is so that the lifeguards aren't trying to watch a couple 100 yards across a pond, in addition to trying to keep track of everyone as they move along. So we appreciate that. All athletes must wear swim caps. We're providing swim caps, and they're made out of
They're silicone.
so
Yeah.
no latex allergies.
Right. So no latex issues, and the silicone should be a little easier to get off and on since you're doing that a number of times. I do have an orange buoy.
Oh, you got an orange buoy.
You want to let me show that? All right, as if you guys haven't seen orange buoys, but but I will share it nonetheless. There we go. All right, so that's what our orange buoys look like. Big orange pumpkins, as Andy says. So now you
find
know.
things much faster than
I know.
possibly. All right. So to run through real quick, just in case you didn't notice it, in the athlete's guide, paddles, yes, but not mandatory. Full buoys, yes, but not mandatory. Safety buoys, we've just talked about that. Snorkels are allowed by, we're following USAT rules whenever possible, realizing this is a different event, but this is actually a USAT sanctioned event. Obviously, USA Triathlon has caught on to the fact that, hey, maybe we should make sure that we're involved with the swim run game. So snorkels are allowed, but you have to provide a doctor's note on letterhead beforehand. The tethers, once again, as we said, they're here's ours. You notice that Kathleen and I have found that when we're swimming, this tether and the standard length is a little bit too long, so we actually shorten it up. So you gotta
Yeah,
make sure
that
you
helps me.
practice before that.
Yeah, I'm always in the back, so it helps for me to be a lot closer to Andy's feet without him kicking me.
Yeah. But we never, cardinal rule, never do something in a race you haven't practiced with to feel comfortable. Fins, there are a few swim runs out there that allow fins. We do not. Remember, you must finish carrying the same items you started the race. You will have lifeguards on rescue boards. We'll have some escorts and kayaks on every single water crossing. You are allowed to rest at one of their craft without moving forward if you need to. And at the head lifeguard's discretion, any swimmer could be towed to shore. Please respect their decision. Each of our water crossings has a pond manager. And when I say that's a manager, that's not just a local lifeguard we picked up. These are like the top lifeguards. We have one who is the lifeguard of the largest ocean beach on Cape Cod. We have another who is has been the head for years of a swimming program for children, as well as lifeguard training and our swim coordinator, Scott, who may or may not be on, is also an experienced lifeguard and is the swim chief for all of our events. So on the course, I guess we should probably share
Yeah.
some
Do you want
maps.
to, do you want to share the one that,
Yeah, so we'll get some maps going here so that
okay. How are you guys doing so far? There we are. Okay, now
we don't want to waste your evening, so we're talking as quickly as we can, but we can happily go over something if you didn't.
So we're just
catch it.
gonna show you the maps here. We're not reading the athlete's guide.
Yeah, here. So we're looking at the overview, and I'll just quickly point out that on here, if you can see at about the 4 mile mark. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, at the no, about 4.5 miles in where this cursor is, if you can see it.
You're thinking about
What am I
Higgins?
missing this? Yeah, I'm by, oh,
Okay.
Higgins is right here. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right,
Okay,
right.
so it's a little bit before the 5 mile mark. We will not be doing Higgins, but let's jump ahead to that. There's this is Ballston Beach. The South Pamet Road goes to here. There are parking spots. Our buses will be going here. You'll be collecting on the beach and you'll run down to Brush Hollow, which is down here, and you'll be heading up. Here's a look at the first swim. This is
First run.
First run. This is all in the athlete's guide. Sorry, this is the end of that first run, which brings you into snow, running across snow.
Remember there'll be a porta potty and a water stop at the end of snow.
Yep. Oh,
so that's on the road there.
Yeah, or right here. Here's your next run. You're taking the slough. So far, because I know I've been asked this a couple of times now, what's the surface like? Well, the beach run's obviously a beach. It will be low tide. You will want to make a decision. Do you want to run close to the cliffs where the beach is a little bit, the sand's a little bit deeper and harder to trudge through? Or do you want to go down to the water's edge and run on firmer sand, but then you'll have to go across a beach up to the cliffs to make your way up the cliffs. These cliffs, by the way, this is one of the few trails that where the National Seashore allows people to walk up on the cliffside. There will be moments where you'll probably use all fours. So just to warn you on that. It's a couple 100 feet up too. When you get to the top of the cliff, do a quick turnaround because this view is magnificent. I think you can see Portugal from there, and you start heading into the woods across the highlands, and it gets a little bit more woodier as you get further along. And this will bring you in to there. So all of this is either the beach run here, or this is what I would call firm sand over clay. So the footing is good. It's actually, I think your Achilles will appreciate it. And that's true all the way down to Snow Pond. Same thing here. This is all, well, this was a lot of well, that's not single track there. A lot of the single track here. When you get into this run, you'll have a little bit of pavement, and then you have actually a fire road of sorts. It's actually an ancient road that goes back to Native Americans, but and then you'll take Slough Road, which is a dirt road to here, single track down to here. So you get an idea. It's a mix of a lot of different things. I think I can probably suggest that maybe 80 or 85% of your run is going to be on sandy surface, but firm sandy surface. You'll have 5% that is sand that's a little bit deeper, and maybe 10% that's on paved roads.
Yeah, it's all right.
Anyways, you're working your way down. This is the Slough. Here's from Slough, the finish of Slough swim. And now you're running. This is a dirt road or a sandy road. And you're running down to here. Now, unfortunately, you won't be able to do this swim. So we will keep running down to the entrance to the Gull Pond swim. And that's the only major change here. We're still on sandy surfaces. When you do get to the end of Gull Pond, now you will be on pavement for this stretch here. But then you're back on a sandy fire road that's going to take you down here to Long. Now, those of you who are doing the short course race, about an hour after the medium course racers start, you will start, and you will be on a trail, well, a fire road of sorts that will come this way, and it will come to this pond, which will be your first pond of the event, but everybody swims at the same pace. So you may encounter someone of a different distance swimming with you as you go along here. So we have the Long Pond swim. It's a dog leg, so we'll have multiple intermediate buoys on your way to the finish. After the Long Pond swim, here's some pavement, and then here's some dirt road, and then here's some single track, and here's some pavement. So you see it's a real mix. And we'll be doing the Great Pond swim here.
Right. So someone asked about the Great Pond swim, and it is short. So the question was, that looks short. It is.
It is short. Yeah, it is. But we want you to get wet. So, and hopefully we'll be able to, we're talking to private property owners and that sort of thing to see if we can make that swim a little longer.
For next year.
In future years. Yeah, in future years.
Okay, so last swim is right here.
Yeah, last run here is dirt, is sand, firm sand, and there's the last swim.
Can I back up just a little bit? Just I was thinking about spectators. So so some of you have loved ones that want to watch you, and this swim run is not always a very spectator friendly event, but you do have some options. So at Gull Pond, now there's nowhere really before we get to Gull Pond, if you're medium course, for your loved one to really be. It's just, there's not really a good spot to be able to park or anything. But Gull Pond, oops, sorry. Gull Pond, there's a parking lot just when you exit Gull Pond. There's a parking lot kind of up the hill. And remember, there's bathrooms at Gull Pond, and we'll have a water stop there too. But your loved ones can watch you come out of Gull Pond. There's a beach. They can watch you the whole time in Gull Pond. They have a bathroom to use and a place to hang out while they're waiting for you. So you've got Gull Pond, and then
now keep in mind to find it, GPS, different services have different names for it. We've seen Gull Pond Beach and Gull Pond Landing. So
yeah, I would if you put it in Google Maps, kind of look at where this beach is here, because I think that sometimes the Google Maps will pull up some other location on a pond. So you want to make sure like, oh, that's the one we're looking for. It's a big parking lot.
Yeah.
Long Pond is another spot for you. Your loved ones, there's a parking lot, see a little P right there. There's a parking lot across the street. So so your loved one can walk up the road, careful, because it is, you know, it is road. There's some traffic there, and can watch you exit, or better yet, if they watch you enter here, there's a nice little beach they can hang out at, and there's a porta potty. And then Great Pond, same kind of thing. Great Pond is actually kind of in a giant hole. So your loved one can watch from the top, or they can venture down the stairs. Both your entrance and exit in Great Pond is down, I don't remember how many steps, 40 steps, something like that.
That's a lot
It's
of
a lot,
steps.
a lot of steps going down. So so your loved one can watch you from the top, or can go all the way down to the beach and then hike their way up. Just be careful of athletes that are trying to go up there. And then that's it. After Great Pond, your spectator should go to the finish area, because they're not really going to be able to see you much before then.
Yeah, we put this in the athlete's guide, but I cannot stress it enough. There are a lot of dirt roads. I say they're quite sandy roads throughout this course. And there's many sandy roads that lead to parts of this course, particularly higher up in the Truro and the northern part of Wellfleet. Please do not take a vehicle on those dirt roads. There's a couple of reasons. One is some of them, I mean, there is nothing but a road that has brambles on the side, and a car in that road means that if they happen upon the race course, a runner cannot even get by them. So, and then the double whammy is, what if there's an emergency and we have a Wellfleet emergency vehicle or a National Seashore emergency vehicle that needs to get out there, and there's a car clogging the road.
Right.
Do not go on any dirt roads.
And
please.
third, it's against our permit, so please don't do it.
Well, yeah.
So wait, before we go off of this map, Marty was asking about if we're skipping Higgins, how does that work? So let me just run through that again for anyone who came on after Andy had talked about it before. So because we're not doing Higgins, you're gonna run right here. This is it's a Jeep trail, and then you're gonna turn here and you're gonna go right into there into Gull. So this is the best pond for us to not be able to do, because Gull Pond is right there. And for any of you that had done SOS Cape Cod a number of years ago, we didn't get to do Higgins at all at that time. And we just went into Gull. And so we're kind of following that same course. So it's super short. You're just going to go straight and then follow those pink flags. And it will take you right into Gull Pond right there. Okay. Do you want to go off that, Sharon? Yeah.
I think we can at this point, because we've got the finish run. There we go, coming on in. What else do we have before we take questions?
I think that is what we have, because we were going to talk about the course.
Okay.
And now we have a number of
You want
questions.
to pull the questions
So,
up? I'll just double check and make sure we didn't have anything else.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So if anyone else has any other questions, throw them in chat, and we're right on there. So Jill asked, can solo athletes use a rest tube that has not been inflated? Yes. Rest tubes are intentionally not inflated. And then you have, although you won't be able to borrow ours, we only have enough loaners for the teams. But you can certainly pick up one. I think West Marine has some. So the reason why you can use a rest tube that's not blown up is because it fits in a little thing like this, and you're just going to pull this tab. And as soon as you pull it, as Andy demonstrated earlier, it blows right up. So, so if you need it, it's there in a hurry. Otherwise, if you are using a safe swimmer buoy, it must be blown up the entire time, or every time you're in the water.
Right, and our swim runners who have done Otillo events, and I think Odyssey as well, before the merge, are used to the rest tubes, because those are also used at those events.
Yeah, and so that's fine. Brian asked if male swimmers have to wear a top. You don't have to wear a top. It's up to you. Wear bottoms, please. But top is fine.
Oh, we always have a couple of Speedo guys
yeah,
at every race.
you're right.
I mean,
We do. So all right, is there gear check, and where can we leave our keys while we race? There's not gear check, but you can leave your keys. If you're doing the medium course, I imagine that's what you're asking about, and you go off to Boston Beach, we will have a bin for anything that you do not want to take with you on the course. Throw it in that bin. It will show up at the finish line for you. So if you want that to be keys, and that way you don't have to worry about it, that's fine. All right. And then I know that Amy was nice enough to answer this question for Anne, but because we're recording and the chats don't show up in the recording, I'm going to say it instead. So Anne asked, will the Friday clinic be geared towards beginners? Also, will it include any swimming and running, or is it just informational? Amy was nice enough to answer that and said it will be geared for all levels. Will just depend on who shows up as what we cover. It will have some swimming and running and transitions, super important. Or you can just swim or just run if you don't want to do both.
Yeah, I think Tristan and Marcus were talking about possibly a little easy jogging from one point to another, but obviously there's a race tomorrow. You want to take it slow.
Right. And then when we were talking about that Great Pond and it being short, how far are you putting the buoys offshore?
We're going to give that a little bit of a bend to try to make it longer. So hopefully at least it's a few hundred yards. But
yeah, but it's just a
depends on
short
the
swim.
conditions too. One of the things doesn't happen often, but sometimes we'll get sucked in with fog, and we'll have to be watching for that, because that may affect where we set the swim starts and the swim finishes.
You want to answer that one?
What's next? Is there a way to defer registration or transfer it?
Right. So at this, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So we were really generous with deferral policies in the months leading up to a race. What happens at race time, and this race has been sold out for 4 months or something like that. What happens though when we get into the last month of a race, let alone the last week, is we've kind of paid for everybody's entry. You know, the insurance is paid for, everything is all, you know, every aspect of your race has been sort of paid for. So if we do a last minute deferral where we can't possibly find someone to replace you that quick, then we're taking the financial hit, and that just doesn't seem fair. So we really cannot offer deferrals in the last week. What we can, transfers I think are okay, right? As long as Maureen
they
has
have
the
somebody
time to
else.
process it.
Yeah, which will be only until like tomorrow, because we have things that we have to do in order to be ready for you guys.
Yeah.
So if you look in the chat, Maureen at NE Events is in there. Send her an email. Robert, that goes for you too. Robert asked if you can switch from medium to short. Not a problem. Send a note to Maureen. You can also go into your participant account. You might be able to just do it there without even having to ask Maureen. If you're not able to find that, then you can ask her, but if you want to avoid her, that's the way to do it. The teams that are untethered still borrow rest tubes. Yes, Sarah. That would be fine. We have enough for all teams.
Okay. A question about Higgins Pond. Did we answer that, or?
Yep, we already answered that one.
Okay, we can handle that, right?
Yep. And then Katie asked about USAT rules. Do allow people to carry phones as long as you're not using them, like music, things like that, talking on the phone. Can you carry the buoy? Can you carry the phone in your swim buoy? So that way your family can track you on Find My or what have you. That is fine. If you're using one of our swim buoys, though, at least every once in a while you get like just a tiny bit of water in there. So I would definitely put your phone in a Ziploc before putting it in the Safe Swimmer buoy, just to make sure, since where your phone is the lowest point, and that's where water sits as well.
Yeah. And did you jump one?
I might have.
Teams that are untethered still borrow what?
Yeah, I already answered that.
Yeah,
I said yes because we have enough.
Yes, yeah. We have enough for all teams.
All right.
Okay.
Somebody did ask though, or made a comment, Steve, about if spectators are on the stairs at Great Pond, then that could be in the way of runners. It could be. So if you're a spectator and you plan on going in the stairs, you have got to really be out of the way. You most likely you're going to look at the stairs and say, I'm not climbing up those. So, but I didn't want to say you can't do that. But you're going to see it and you're not going to want to do it. And by the time you get down there, your athlete is already coming out of the water. So then you got to hike all the way back up. So hopefully you guys will avoid it
Yeah,
altogether.
if it's a nice day, there's also going to be visitors to Wellfleet and Wellfleet residents who will go down to the ponds, or they'll be walking on the trails. Not a lot. Keep in mind that this is not like some triathlons or running races where there's 10 people coming by constantly, another 10 people, another 10 people. I think we worked it out that it's something like an average of 30 seconds or so between athletes on the course. So if you're going up those stairs, most likely it's not a stampede of guys and gals who are trying to get up to that top at the same time. So they're wide enough so that if someone were walking down because they wanted to see what's going on down there,
Yeah,
they'll
won't be
get
a
out
big
of your
deal.
way. People are pretty polite.
Right, right. But take me seriously. The stairs are steep. All right. There was a question about cutoffs. Tom, you can find cutoffs in the athlete's guide. And then the final cutoff is at noon to be able to finish. And then Daniel asked, are there, and this would be a good question for you or for Bruce Langley, who is, or Prangley, sorry, that is on our call tonight. And he is one of our athletes that has done this course. I'm not sure how many times. He has.
I need to no longer be on the course the rest of this week because of the taper.
Yeah, so
can you let Bruce?
No,
Bruce,
I
are
think
there
I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. You can hear me?
you're good. Go ahead.
I'm good. No, I think that was the main one. Everyone else seems to be more sand. You enter in on a beach and exit on a beach for pretty much all the others. So I think you took care of it.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay.
Um,
No, there aren't any other muddy entrances or exits.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
right.
So where are you now?
All right. So Avery. Thanks, Avery. Hi, how are you? Is a swimmer tube that you provide the one that must be inflated at all times? So good question. What did I do with it? The safe swimmer buoy that we give you, the big yellow one, that has to be inflated at all times. It's a safe swimmer buoy. It doesn't have a like self-inflate kind of
It has
thing.
to be inflated while you're swimming.
While you're swimming. Sorry. Yes, while you're swimming, you don't. Andy deflates it every time he goes to run, but some of us just leaves it.
Longer runs.
Okay. So the only thing that is not inflated while you're in the water is the rest tube or a rest tube type of device, which means one that you have a little rip cord, and when you pull it, it has the CO2 cartridge and it just blows up immediately. So that way you've got something to hang on to. But anything else that is a manual blow must be blown up before you enter the water. And
What
that's
the
what
rest
happens
tube
to the
looks
rest of
like
it.
when you inflate it.
Thanks.
I can't even show it. It's so big.
So big.
There it
All right.
is.
Thank you, Vanna. Appreciate it. All right. And so for those that entered late, the water temperature, Andy did 3 ponds today. Those are the ones in the first part of the medium course, and they were between 74 and 75 degrees.
Right.
So quite comfortable. Sneakers and drill.
Oh,
well, all I know is it's dad. So
yeah, I'm a dad, and I also drilled holes in the bottom of my
so dad's iPhone.
my trail shoes for SwimRun, and I would suggest back in June we hosted a online clinic, Zoom, the same way this is done, with Chris and Chipper of the Low Tide Boys, and they answered all these sorts of questions. It was a tremendous session. And if you haven't watched it or listened to it, please do. It's on our YouTube.
Yeah, New England Endurance Events.
We have our own YouTube, what they call it, a channel or something, and it's got plenty of videos on there. And just go back to June and you'll look at that. And that they'll talk about those kinds of things. Although I don't think they're fans of drilling holes in shoes, but
Yeah, I
That's
don't
just
think
me,
that
yeah.
they say that. And this might be kind of late to be doing something new.
I don't think Chris is out of work yet. But if you are, Chris, jump in and tell me I'm wrong. Okay, so it's next.
All right, so what's the longest swim? And then I'm gonna back up. I mean,
I'd say it's about 850 yards. Yeah.
so that would
If-
be gull or long?
They're both. I think it depends whether or not you're a zigzagger. It's possible, I think some people come out and then look at their watch and they say, that was 1,000 yards. Others say, hey, that was 825. So, you know, if you're a good straight swimmer, yeah, figure the two longest swims are around 800, 850.
Okay. Oh, and I missed a whole bunch of other questions, so I'm backing up a little bit. Backing way up. Okay, so there we go. So, how many participants on the medium course? I don't really know. Is there 100? Something like that. We have like 70 something people on teams, so it's like 35 or so
Right,
teams
35
together.
teams, and I think there are about 100 solo athletes. And I think for the short course, it's going to be, it's not quite 60, it's 50
Yeah,
something.
somewhere in the
yeah.
50s. All right, and then Lori asks, can I attach a small piece of styrofoam to sneaker laces for better flotation? Is that legal? I have not heard that. I've never heard of that. So would we have an issue with it? I
No,
wouldn't.
I think swim run's one of those few sports where you can do crazy things. If
think-
you want, and
I don't know. I don't know where Andy's going, but I'm sure he's going to find you something
No,
to
no,
show
just
you.
about to say is,
Okay.
we see people, and Kathleen and I do swim runs. We see people with swim pool buoys, pull buoys.
Those are
And-
not easy.
And some people will actually drill a hole in them and they'll put a little leash or something. You will notice a number of the racers, particularly the experienced ones, who will have something that looks like this. This is a specialized swim run buoy. And as Kathleen
That
said,
one's gigantic. So I still have mine attached to me from anyone who was watching before.
Yeah.
So you can also
You
get
can
small
see the
ones.
difference.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't, and so with this, you don't need anything to hold your shoes up as long as they're not super heavy because this like supports your legs completely. But it might be kind of late to be getting that. And now, oh, and then we drill a hole in it and there's, Chipper has a whole, and Chris have a whole thing about how to do that. So that way you can attach it to a little line. So that way you can wear it around your waist.
Go to
But it's kind of late to do that.
lowtidebuoy.com, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of late.
So if you want to use styrofoam on your shoes, go for it. That will be fine. Good question, Avery. Music is not allowed. So music, earbuds, none of that is allowed on the course. That is a USA Triathlon rule, and we stick to it, even though this is swim run. It's we still do not allow any kind of music, and if we see it, it's a 2-minute penalty.
You will be crossing roads and there will be volunteers there, but still, you don't want to be plugged in to.
Right, you got to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, and also it's a beautiful scenic view and you'll hear the birds and everything else, you know, why listen to music? Enjoy nature.
Right, but so, Remy asked right after that, can you wear ear plugs, not earbuds? Earbuds or no, earplugs for swimming, no problem. Please take them out when you're running. So as Andy was saying, so you can kind of hear what's going on, that way you'll know if someone's coming behind you or there's something you need to be aware of. All right, how frequent are those course markings?
Well, here's an opportunity to say we have 4 ladies who are all amazing runners, and there are course markers, and I'm so grateful to Jen, Katie, Kathy, and Dawn. And they will, I mean, the general rule is we'll put one every so often. If you're on a straight path, they'll still put one once in a while. So because we all have second thoughts, like, did I miss anything? I haven't seen a flag in a while. But at every turn, you'll see multiples following that turnaround, or following that curve, so that you can make that turn onto at an intersection. or that sort of thing. You do have to kind of stay alert, though. You can't, we all get brain fog sometimes, especially as triathletes, and we sort of like just go where the crowd's going. In this case, one of the things I think Kathleen and I like about SwimRun is it's a critical thinking exercise, as is triathlon and a lot of other sports, but SwimRun in particular, you're always thinking about strategy. How am I feeling? Did I have enough nutrition? All that sort of thing. And also keep an eye out for those pink flags.
Thanks. What we've had for those of you that did SOS Cape Cod, we did the same thing. We had flags all over. And what the athletes had said that did that was every time that there was a question of like, wait a minute, am I on the right course, or should I make this turn, or what have you, there was a flag in front of them. So we've got some of the same crew that's putting flags down. So you guys will be perfect. Aid stations, that Jill asked if we'd have cups at the aid stations, or if you need to bring your own. You do not need to bring your own, but if you choose to, that's no problem. We will, we'll have the big jugs and you can fill up there, or we will give you a plastic cup. And sorry,
Yeah.
it is plastic, and we hope to recycle it if people don't throw their goo in the same container.
Yeah, that's no problem. We recognize there are some swim runs where you have to bring your cup and reuse it and carry it with you. We'll give you a choice.
Right.
As long as you put the Gatorade cup in a trash, please, or recycling.
Or recycling. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So do you want to?
Steep steps and cliffs on the short course. You won't have the cliff climb on the short course, but you will have a character builder building hike up stairs at the end of Great Pond.
That's run 3 though, or swim 3
For the short.
for the short.
Yeah. He was asking, is it part of the short course as well as the long course? So
And great.
only
Okay.
the stair climb is part of it. But as I mentioned, a lot of people think the Cape Cod is flat. None of you will say next week to your friends, when you tell them about the race, that, oh, Cape Cod, it's a flat course. No, that's not going to happen.
All right. And then we already kind of talked about the shoes and the holes.
Yeah.
So Alex asked, does a tethered team require 2 rest tubes, 1 for each person, or just 1 for for the team?
We thought about just 1 for the team, but you know what? We have them, and also we want to make sure we adhere to the letter of the law for our permitting authorities. And if one person's serious trouble in a tethered team, can the other guy reach him or her and reach down and try to get at the trigger and pull it, and it's a lot going on. I think it's a lot easier if everybody has their rest tube, and if your teammate is in, I mean, the fact of the matter is we've had strokes on swims that at our races that have ended happily, thankfully. We've had AFib issues on swims at our races that have happened, ended happily, thankfully, so far. But
things happen.
Yeah, things happen. So
okay. And then Jenny asked, is there a version of the map that has elevation profile? And Steve, thank you for answering that. If you click through if you're on the athlete's guide and you click through the map, it's interactive. It goes to all trails, and then that will give you elevations or anything else that you might possibly want. And I think that I answered. Laura was asking about if you want to transfer somebody else. I think you can do it within your athlete account. Maureen might be on, and she might be able to answer that better. If not, you can't find that option. If you send a note to Maureen at neevents.com, that's in the chat a couple of times, then she can help you with that.
Yeah.
And I think
Jenny was asking about the elevation profile.
that's what I just.
Oh, did you
that's
just
what I
do that?
talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, we see who's listening.
No, so
So-
it's the Map My Ride, Map My Run.
Is that from
map.
Map My Run, not All Trails? I thought it was.
The All Trails will show each segment, but if at
Oh,
the
but not
top
the-
of the page, there's a Map My Run map. You can click on it and go right to Map My Run, and you can look at the little elevation at the bottom. Bruce and I were doing some calculating when we were out there, and I think we figured it's just about 1,000 feet of elevation when you add in the cliff climb to the other data we had, right? Bruce, we had 800, and then you had the 200 going up for the cliff climb, and that's about it, I think. All right, can you walk? Of course you can. Walk.
Agreed.
Sorry. What's that?
I was quickly just trying to unmute. Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay,
There we
good,
go.
good,
Okay, no
yeah.
problem. And yeah, you can walk anything that you'd like to. See.
We love run walkers. I mean, we know some people who could do 3.5-hour marathons run walking.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that works. And then how many athletes we have? I think we have 2 something athletes. How many athletes this year?
It's
25.
it's about 200. I don't know. We'll have to do the math on that and see.
Yeah, but somewhere in there. So
But it's as much as we were allowed to have this year. We will ask for more athletes next year. And we do hope to have a even longer swim run at some point in the future. But we kind of have to, there's so many permitting authorities, we kind of have to step gingerly and diplomatically. I mean, I sometimes I wonder if these international diplomats have to go through what we have to go through with the select boards of the towns here.
conservation and
So-
yeah. So, but Andy and I have been working on that. It takes a while to be able to get it, and we want the permitting authorities to see that, yep, we can do this race, and we're not leaving trash, and we're not damaging our surroundings in any way, and then that's how we're able to get more. So we are working on it. And then we had a question about how do you find that information as far as the trails?
let
So
me
if
share
you, okay,
I'll share it.
if you just click on the map in Athlete's Guide, Andy will show you.
It's not the athletes.
Yeah,
guide
it
there.
sure is.
So we
Andy will
share
show that.
and let's go up to the top and.
Can I show you another way too?
What?
You put this together, you think that
So
you,
here's the overall course map. It's at the top. It says here, this is an interactive map. To zoom in, click to Map My Run. Hopefully this works. And there you go. And there's
there's
the
elevation. So that's overall elevation, but you can also do segments. So if you
Oh,
back up
going
from
to-
there,
to
yeah.
go to
So
each
if you
author.
go to, go ahead and go out of that one. Or where'd you go? Oh, there.
Yeah,
So if
want
you
to go
just
to
click
this.
on a segment like that, it goes right to All Trails. And then you can see the elevation for that section. So if you're like,
Yeah.
you want to know each one.
There you go.
So we got it. All right. So you want to go out of stop share? Up there.
Yep.
All right, there we go. All right, so let's see. Noon cutoff, yes. So there's finish line is noon is the cutoff, and that's for both the medium and the short courses. And then there are cutoffs for different ponds and just certain ponds, not every pond. And you can see that in the athlete's guide.
I can share that if.
Well,
someone
I think
has-
that they can find
It's
it in
in
the athlete's guide.
It's
Yeah.
in the athlete's guide. I guess, so
Okay.
we do that.
All right, and
So-
so that's our last question. Did I miss anybody? Oh, there we go. Sandy's going to show you. So this is something that you guys don't have. So I don't know how helpful that is for them.
This is something
it's
we
in the
give to
athlete's
the
guide.
rangers and the police and the fire so that they're aware of it, but you
Right.
can see the hard cutoffs in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
So, okay,
Yeah. So go off that share
yeah, good luck
Up
finding
here.
my way out of here.
right there.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I think that was the last question that I see in chat. If I've missed a question that you've asked, if you want to throw it back in chat, then we can cover that. And if not, we really appreciate you guys being on tonight. And if any of your friends missed tonight, we of course want everyone to be able to see the athletes meeting. There's a lot of information you guys have learned tonight. We will post that to our YouTube channel. and that's New England Endurance. You can just do a search. We'll also put it in the athlete's guide, so everyone should be on the athlete's guide. We'll open up a block, and it will have, you know, right there will be all of this tonight. So so thank you guys so much. We will see you Saturday morning, or we'll see you Friday with Team Envol at 3 p.m. at the Long Pond parking lot in Wellfleet. So thanks so much. You guys have a great night.